Hi, it's Eric Beard. Wanted to talk to you about a few topics. Number one are acute variables. One of the discussions that we just had in our FITT 400 class, the Integrated Sports Performance Training for the California University of Pennsylvania. Go Vulcans, baby. We had talked about which acute variables most fitness professionals tend to miss the boat on or make mistakes in. And some people had made the case for duration of workouts. Some people had talked about tempo. Other options perhaps could have been rest in between sets, could have been sets, could have been repetitions. One of the most common themes that we saw where people thought that most fitness professionals missed the boat on was tempo or speed of movement, and that can make a significant difference. So when we're looking at the cumulative effects of acute variables, sets, reps, tempo, rest period, looking at total volume done plus the exercise type, that's going to give us a specific adaptation. And if we're following NASM's OPT model, each of the phases of training has a specific outcome or adaptation that they would like to achieve. So the acute variables are framed around each one. For example, in the stabilization level, they're recommending that people do between 1 to 3 sets with 12 to 20 repetitions of a resistance training exercise performed at a 4-2-1 tempo. That's lengthening eccentrically for 4 seconds, holding isometrically for 2 seconds, and shortening concentrically for 1 second. Example of what that might look like, if I were just to do a row here, lighten that up just a bit. I'm going to pull for 1/1000, hold for 1/1000, 2/1000, and reach for 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's a 7-second repetition. Hold for 1, hold for 2, reach for 4, 3, 2, 1. Most people in the gym settings are going to move probably closer to this tempo. And that's if they have good form. So they're going 1/1000, they're taking a 1 or 2 second repetition and performing that usually for about 3 sets of 10 repetitions. And what NASM is recommending to build stabilization endurance are 12 to 20 repetitions for 7 seconds per repetition. So if we only did 12 repetitions and let's say let's go full on, if we did 20 repetitions and we did 7 seconds per repetition, that's going to be 140 seconds. That's over 2 minutes worth of work. That is a significant challenge to our neuromuscular system. It's going to help us build endurance because the activity that we're involved in is over 2 minutes per bout or per set. Then we're going to rest or perform some sort of circuit or other creative type of exercise programming, then move on from there. So when we're trying to get the specific adaptation of stabilization endurance, we want to make sure that the repetitions are slow enough to match the specified outcome, and that's going to be stabilization endurance. People oftentimes miss the boat by going too quickly. They follow the repetition and set scheme, but they don't have that time under tension or that challenge to our system, and they miss the adaptation. So make sure that we're following the tempo that we should. Conversely, when we're talking about power training, if the tempo is explosive or moving at a 1-1-1, 1 second concentric, 1 second isometric, 1 second eccentric, that's a nice way to segue into the power phase. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That's pretty good as long as it's got good form, but eventually we want to get explosive with the movements that we do. And if we're not getting as explosive as we can control with good form, we're going to miss some of those adaptations as well. So when we're talking about acute variables, pay attention to the tempo. It is an extremely important part of achieving the desired outcome or the specific adaptation for each phase of exercise. Some other things that I saw in the discussion that I wanted to talk about, one of which was exercise technique, and someone was talking about squats. And I believe the recommendation was that what they told their clients was never let the knee go over the toe, pretend like their foot was in a bucket and their foot would be restricted within the bucket from moving too far. I wanted to give you just a visual from the side of this. I'm going to hang on the handle so I can turn and talk to you while I'm doing this exercise. I'm not advocating to do the exercise with your arms up like this. This is just going to give me a little balance while I talk to you. So as I go through the descent of the squat, we would like to see the upper body and lower body parallel, the tibia and the torso folding forward. Finishing in a hip extended, knee extended, ankle extended to neutral position. So my tibia, my shin, is even with my torso or my upper body. Here and here are going to be relatively even. Again, I'm just hanging on here for balance. This could be with a barbell, could be with a kettlebell for goblet squats, could be dumbbells, you name the resistance, you name the exercise, but we want to see parallel lines between the tibia and the torso. And it is okay for the knee to come slightly forward of the toe because we're sitting back, we're flexing the hip, we're loading, we're preloading the hip, and then extending through the hip, knee, and ankle. So even though my knee didn't transition or translate very far in front of my toes, it's okay for it to happen just a bit because we're still flexing at the hips. What we don't want to happen would be more of a situation where the heels are lifting or the knees are shooting way forward to the toes like this. I'm not sure how well you can see the heels, but my knees are coming up, my trunk is staying upright. This is even worse. It's going to put a tremendous amount of load right through the patellofemoral joint, a lot of knee pain, people's patella. They say it doesn't track really well, but usually the femur is out of alignment is the issue with that. More on that in another video. But the knees come forward, we're not loading the hip. Most people are quad dominant and glute weak. We want to be cautious of that. So it's just some concepts to consider when you're having someone squat. Upper and lower extremities should stay parallel so we can load the glute. We want to allow ideal alignment of the kinetic chain checkpoints, feet, knees, hips, shoulders, head. And there was another theme within the discussion we had this week about the importance of form or technique. I wholeheartedly agree. We have to do things well. We want our clients to maintain alignment of the 5 kinetic chain checkpoints so that the bones and the protective tissue around the bones, whether it's ligaments that hold bones together, whether it's tendons that hold muscles into bones, whether it's joint capsules, now whether it's discs or cartilage that provide cushioning or surfaces to have some lubrication, we want to maintain the integrity of that tissue, especially the active system, the passive system, ligaments, bones, discs, cartilage. We want those to be aligned and have force distributed evenly within them. If the force is not distributed evenly through that joint, then there's going to be some wear on there. And that's going to be an issue down the line, whether it's 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, or 5 years. We're going to wear down that tissue, whether it's cartilage or whether it's a ligament, or even just an inflamed or aggravated tendon. That's a possibility too. So alignment of the 5 kinetic chain checkpoints with good form during exercise is always the #1 driver, whether we should or shouldn't be doing something, as long as it matches up with our goals. So pay attention to your acute variables, especially the tempo that's easy for us to miss out on. I know that's the biggest mistake that I make in my own training is I move a little too fast, I get distracted and pay attention to my technique, but I lose the tempo. And when I have people train me, when I'm the client and I have someone else as the trainer, they enforce that tempo and I get a much more effective workout. Happens to all of us, as well as maintaining alignment of the 5 kinetic chain checkpoints. That's a rule, that's a driver for everything else. I'm Eric Beard, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day.